The offseason is heating up for the New York Knicks. We still don't know who's going to be the next head coach of the New York Knicks, and now there are reports about them possibly trading for a big star. So what we're going to do here is we're going to break down how they could trade for this star, how they could not trade for this star. We're going to break it all down, and my guy, Bryan Fonseca, who joins me on New York Got Game Live, is here now. Bryan, what's going on, man?
It's been pretty hectic for a quote unquote off season. I'm not gonna hold you. But hectic is good in this business. It's better to be busy than not. So
Hectic is good. Better to be busy than not. I absolutely agree. It's keeping us busy. You are somebody I know who really enjoys the transactions, enjoys the offseason, which is why I thought you'd be good to talk to. And I wanted to talk about this because we got a report today, comes from Gary Wolfell. He says that he was told the Knicks are preparing to make an offer, a tsunami type offer. Very interesting word choice there to acquire Giannis Antetokounmpo from the Bucks. I don't know what to make about that. With a tsunami type offer, that could mean you're giving a lot of picks, which the Knicks don't necessarily have. We'll get to that. You could also be trying to trade a big salary star. There's a lot of ways you can go about this. So I find it very, very interesting. Before we get into looking at some trades, we're going to look at this on the trade machine. What do you think a tsunami-like offer could look like? Because I think that's very interesting word choice there. What do you think that could look like?
it's honestly tough to build a tsunami type of offer with just the restrictions because the Knicks are in the first apron and pretty firmly into the first apron too. Like they could
Mm-hmm.
duck out of it, which is a cap mechanic we can talk about, but they're in the first apron right now. That's going to limit some measure of flexibility. Milwaukee obviously has a lot of tied up money as well. And to even get to this point, we have a few things that we have to consider. One is Giannis has to ask out. Unless Milwaukee is going to get out ahead of this and be like, you know what, this is what's best for us for the time being. But there's a world where Giannis is like, you know what, I'm cool. The East is weak. Dame will be back, even though he's older. There's a risk to that. But I love Milwaukee. They've
Mm-hmm.
treated me like this since I got here. This has been my home since I came to America, like all these different things. So he has to ask out first. That's one. Two, he has to ask out and put the Knicks on his list.
Right,
Now,
right.
you and I, though, we expect the Knicks to be on that list, not just because we're from New York and cover the team, but because New York has been a city that he's said publicly that he loves. He had that weird comment also after Luka Doncic got traded, talking about how, hey, yeah, I think stars. I'm paraphrasing. I think stars should be in big markets. That was weird, and that's something that we're going to circle back to at
Yep,
some point.
yep.
So there are a couple things that we have to sort of establish first, and also the draft, because the draft is going to be a lot of, I will say, clarity instead of movement, because a lot of teams this year, their ambition is going to be doing this, getting this player, getting this contract, getting off this contract, ducking the tax, ducking this apron. So there's going to be a lot of moving parts that may free up potential third team options for the Knicks to call and be like, oh, you guys are now financially flexible, or the Knicks can try to get more financially flexible by taking back less salary in a trade involving like a Josh Hart or a Mitchell Robinson. And if you see them dump Deuce McBride for nothing back but draft picks, that's a way that you can potentially get out of the first apron too, depending on where their cap sheet is going to be toward the end of June. So there's like a lot
Yeah,
of moving parts, but in terms of the Giannis like tsunami offer, we can obviously talk about that and what
yeah.
that could look.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk about that, and we're going to look at this through the trade machine for the people here. And look, let's start with this, Bryan. If you're trying to trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo, who makes a lot of money, and if we look at the projection for next year against the cap, $54.1 million. So I have this right now here in the trade machine. I'm going to bring Giannis up here to be traded to the Knicks. Okay. Now, when you look at another big salary that's going to work, and you think of big salaries in Knicks, first person you're going to think about is Karl Towns. That is the guy you're going to be thinking about. Now, his number in terms of working with the cap next year, 53.1 million. So you've got it right here. I got him traded to the Bucks. So now you've got Giannis and Cat straight up. So here's the thing, and I want people, let's look at this, and just so we can see and build these trades, because this is what we're trying to do here. If you try the trade here on the trade machine and you see what you get, failed. This does not work here. You can't trade Giannis and Cat straight up, because I know people are going to ask that. Well, why can't you trade Giannis and Cat straight up? Well, the Knicks, they can't take back more money as a first apron team right below second apron than they are bringing in, right? So the difference between those two salaries is like just under $1 million. So a little bit tough there, right? So we see this one does not work. Now, Bryan, if we're trying to build this, you need to get over the $54.1 million. So you need to add another player, likely a low cost player. What low cost player would you like to add that you think could work here for the Knicks to get this deal done?
Well, if I'm the Bucks, there's a couple things.
This is a good point. What do the Bucks want? Right. What would they want?
I think this is what Knicks fans and Knicks not players, media, also have to consider is why do the Bucks want to do this? Why do the
Fair.
Bucks want Karl Anthony Towns? Like the whole point of Minnesota trading Karl Anthony Towns, or at least a lot of it, was getting off of that contract long term. It was like, look, this is
Right.
a big financial commitment, and even after going to the Western Conference Finals, they went back, by the way. But even after doing that, like they wanted to get off of that long-term contract. Now they have a Julius Randle contract question, but I don't think he's going to get what Karl Anthony Towns got. So maybe that's a win for them financially, right? So if you're Milwaukee, you're like, why do we want the Karl Anthony Towns contract? Like in exchange for the best player that they've had since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, essentially. And if you're looking at who you want to tack onto that, it starts with the picks, but in terms of players to make this financially
Yep. Let's look at players.
cool, you have to ask for Dadier first.
Okay.
Of the three prospects, Kolek, I think, has the lowest floor to what Milwaukee may want to do in terms of a rebuild. Like Dadier has a chance to be like a starter, we would think. Hawk Purdy has 1 year left on his deal. So you already have to be like, oh, we're gonna have to pay him again after next
And
year.
so
And then
you'd want a younger player that has a little bit more years on him. And so
ceiling,
Dadier and Kolek both have
ceiling
that.
and the contract,
Right.
because Dadier was a first round pick.
Yep.
That means he has 3 years left of team control on his contract.
Let's hold it right there. Let's look at this. Let's adjust the trade. We're going back here to the trade machine. Let's add Dadier, okay, in the trade to the Bucks. So we added Dadier right here. So now you see Dadier would be going out with Karl Anthony Towns to with Giannis Antetokounmpo coming back to the Knicks. Now, just so we can see this here, we do not have the picks that you can add here. But we know this, and Bryan, you before I hit try this trade and see if this works, we understand that the Bucks are going to want picks. They're going to want young talent, could be
All
attractive
of
to them, but they're also going to want as many picks they can. Just to let the people know, this is what the Knicks are working with. They have the Washington 2026 first round pick that is top 8 protected. A lot of people would expect Washington to not be good again next year. So that pick is probably not going to convey for the Knicks. And if it does not, it will be 2 second rounders. That's not that attractive of a pick. So what else do the Knicks have? They also have 3 first round picks they can still swap because the Knicks cupboard is pretty bare after trading for Mikal Bridges. They could swap their 2028 first rounder, they could swap their 2030 first rounder, and their 2032 first rounder. So I don't know what's realistic, but let's just say we throw in the Washington first round pick. Let's say we do that, right? And let's say we throw in the 2028 pick swap. Let's just say that. So you're not going to see this on the screen, but we're going to add this here, right? And we're going to try this trade. This is with adding Pacome Dadier, so people can see. We're going to try the trade right here, and this is a success. Now, why is it successful? Because in this situation, the Knicks are sending out more money than they're bringing back. They have to at least have it as 100%. So this works. Here's the question, if we're going to talk about this. It's not about, we know Giannis Antetokounmpo is Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's right. But is this realistic for the Bucks to do? Because that's what you were alluding to, Bryan. Is this realistic that the Bucks would do this? Even if you attach the picks that I just mentioned, do you think this is something the Bucks would do?
I want every possible swap if I'm Milwaukee.
Ooh, that's a high price. That is a high price, man.
Giannis. It's Giannis at the end of the day.
Yep.
It's Giannis for a contract and Karl Anthony Towns that they probably, I don't know if they'll be crazy about it because, and it's not even a diss to Karl Anthony Towns. It's really about where does Milwaukee want to be? If you are getting back Karl Anthony Towns, you probably want to be a worse team than what Karl Anthony Towns will lead you to. And with Karl Anthony Towns in a what we perceive to be a weaker Eastern Conference next season because we don't know what's going on with the Celtics. We don't know what's going on with a lot of different teams. And there's a chance that Kevin Durant comes out East and helps make somebody better. But I would think we would all agree Kevin Durant's less impactful now than he was probably a few years ago at the very least, although he's still great and all-star, all the things, right?
Yep.
So if I'm Milwaukee, yeah, I need all the swaps, all the possible swaps. Now this is where it gets interesting
Yeah.
because you have basically 7 years down the line. When this trade also happens matters because the new league year starts July 1st. Giannis' salary is going to go up once the league year occurs, as is a lot of players in the NBA.
Yeah.
Kyle Kuzma, interestingly, not. He has a descending contract. We'll get to him in a little bit because I think he factors in. He may factor into this. So I think if I'm Milwaukee, I need all the tradable swaps because if you're looking at the Knicks, who announced to the world, we're trying to win a championship. That means the window is now. And in the modern NBA, the windows aren't very long when your team is expensive. And if you're Milwaukee, you're probably looking at like, hey, a 2028 swap with the Knicks might not be great, but it actually could be. But a 2031, and if you're able to get 2032,
Hmm.
because you have up to 7 years down the line to where you can actually make trades. And I think if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if that's eligible to be traded now or at draft time or if you have to wait till the new league year starts. But if they do want to wait, that matters because I think those three swaps in totality could be valuable for Milwaukee because they might look at, oh, the Knicks could flame out or whatever. Like in 2028, Giannis is going to be turning 34. And we talk about as excellent as Jalen Brunson has been, how much longer is a smaller guard going to be able to score like this
Right.
and stay healthy for the duration of his career if they keep this is where Giannis would actually help him. But if he keeps scoring the way he does. So if I'm Milwaukee, all the swaps,
So
every
you're
swap.
asking for all the swaps. Okay. So we do that. I know you. I want you to. So we built the trade. We see that we can do one around to get Giannis to New York around Carlton Towns with a low cost young Knicks player and picks. And you're saying with all the swaps that could possibly work. Do you have any other trades? If someone says to you, "Hey, Brian, I don't want to do that. The cost is too high. Is there another way we can get this done? I'm going to work this out through the trade machine." What's something you have that you think could work to get this done without using Cat and or whatever? It could be whatever. What's an alternative way to do this without using Cat? Cat's the easiest because of his salary, but what's an alternative that you might have to it?
See, it's funny. There's a non-cat route to potentially doing this, but I think using cat is more.
Yes,
It's more
it's
of
more
what the
friendly.
Knicks. It's more of what the Knicks should want because if the
Yeah,
whole thing is, oh, you can't play Brunson and Cat together, then why are you keeping Cat?
right.
And you're getting back Giannis. So if I'm Milwaukee and I'm very iffy on this, I'm like, yo,
I'm
you need to
listening.
take back Kuzma.
So
You
you so
know,
you would want a deal, just so we're clear. You want a deal that would have Kuzma going to the Knicks
he
with
makes
Giannis.
20 he makes 24 million this year,
Okay.
but this upcoming season when the league year starts, it descends to 22.4 and then
Mm-hmm.
20.3. That trade has not worked. He was a bust. And he was not playing as good this year as he has I forget if it was last year or the year before where he had like a really good season
Two
in
seasons
Washington.
ago. Yeah.
He hasn't been, yeah, he's not that guy right now. Milwaukee may be like, hey, listen, we don't want the Kuzma contract. And if you really want Giannis, take back the Kuzma contract because you don't have a lot of draft picks to
Okay, so
trade.
then what if you're the Knicks in that situation? What are you then sending back so we can put this in the trade machine? What are you sending back?
Along with Towns, what I have that
Okay,
worked,
so you still have Cat in this deal. Okay, so
Cat's
Cat's
this
still in
deal.
this deal. Got you.
I think Cat, he almost has to be, not totally has to be, but almost has to be. Like there's an OG Mikhail thing, but then it's like you're gonna give up both of your wings and then wind up with Giannis and Cat and Jalen Brunson. Like that, that's just weird,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, that doesn't seem to work. But go ahead.
Josh Hart,
Okay, so Josh Hart, you're putting in this. So we're adding Josh Hart here, and his 19.4 mil goes in
mhm,
there. Okay,
Josh Hart, uh, Pacome Dadier is here.
you're going with Dottier again in this deal. Okay, so
Mhm.
Dottier in this deal.
If I'm Milwaukee, he's the one of the three rookies that I would want the most.
that you want the most. Now, this I'm just looking at the numbers here. They're still a little bit short on the math. You're going to need to throw in another player.
Deuce McBride.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so Deuce McBride here now goes. Okay. Also, just again, so we're clear, this is going to have picks in this. We know this is not just going to take this. There's also going to have to be picks or pick swaps involved in this. So watch here on the trade. We're going to try this trade. We're going to take a look at it. It is a success. This
I
works.
don't love this for the I don't love this for the Knicks, by the
So
way.
you don't love this for the Knicks. Talk about why you don't love it for the Knicks.
It's again, it's like if I'm going to do the Giannis thing, if I'm the Knicks, I can't give up depth that I already don't really have like that.
Right. Right.
Like this is the difficulty. Like the cleanest way to do this would be basically don't take back Kuzma's deal because then this is what happens. So if you're Milwaukee and you're like, hey, take back Kuzma, then if you're the Knicks, you're like, oh man, could we still actually make this trade? Because what happens is you have to then meet new salary requirements
Yep.
beyond just Giannis plus Dadier or plus Kolek or whatever it is. And in doing that, you're gonna have to package together more role players. I didn't even go the Mitchell Robinson route because that would have complicated things in terms of matching because Mitchell Robinson makes approximately 12.9 million next year. And that's way less than where Josh Hart is. And I know there's people that want to trade Josh Hart now. I'm not advocating for that because
Right.
I really like Josh Hart and what he could provide, even though his Pacers series was a little bit shaky. Let's remember leading up to that, he's been, just very much a net positive for the Knicks. But this is the kind of thing we're just trying to showcase. This is none of these are endorsements. We're just trying to showcase like what this could potentially look
Right.
like. And if you're taking back Kuzma because the Bucks are like, listen, this is the price of trading Giannis, top three player or whatever, world
Wherever
class
you want to put him. Right.
MVP, yeah, like Giannis, and it's like, yeah, take back this Kuzma contract that we don't really want, even though it's descending, and the Knicks will have to move over Josh Hart, Deuce McBride, Pacon Dadier, and for Milwaukee, if you're looking at that, you're like, you're not thrilled, but if you're getting back two young players
Plus picks
and multiple
for swaps.
swaps, couple second rounders too, perhaps, right?
The
Like
Knicks have 8 second rounders they could trade as well too. Yep.
you know what I mean? So you can get a few of those. Josh Hart's contract is fine. You can stomach the Cat deal if this is going to be the case. Cat has a sneaky extension eligibility question that needs to be
Mm-hmm.
answered. Like this is sort of what you could look at if Kuzma were in it. If the Milwaukee Bucks countered and would be like, "Hey, Kuzma needs to be in this." This is what it could potentially look like.
Look, there's a lot of possibilities here, and we've just gone through a couple for you. I think a lot of people will understand this is probably going to start with Karl Anthony Towns if you're going to try to make this deal. It is not easy. There are things we can get involved in with 3 team deals, Brian, but that is a lot more
That's one thing I
complicated.
wanted to know.
Well, a
That's
lot,
what,
lot more complicated. But real quick before we go, because we're out of time. But
yeah.
what's one thing that you have as a quick? I know you had like an alternative deal here. What's something you got?
The other one is it's not pretty. Let me actually pull this up from before. But I do think we have to remember the Julius Randle, Karl Anthony Towns, Dante
Hmm.
DiVincenzo trade actually legally ended up as a three-team deal because a lot of
It
these
did.
deals have to become three-team deals. Jimmy Butler to the Warriors, for example, I think that became four teams, four or five actually. But like a lot of these deals, like we remember two teams involved and they end up having to become three, four. And in this second apron era, that's going to be a common thing. There's a world where the Spurs, because they've been mentioned, and it's like the Spurs, they could be interested in Giannis and what have you. There have been multiple different deals. Bill Simmons came up with one. This one we don't need to put up on the trade machine, but he came up with one where the Knicks end up receiving Giannis, Kyle Kuzma, and Pat Connaughton, who has a player option for north of 9 million that he is likely to accept. I don't know if he's gonna go to free agency because he's probably not gonna get 9.4 or million or whatever it is. With the Bucks receiving in that deal, Towns, Devin Vassell, and multiple first round picks from San Antonio 2026 and 2028. And the Spurs would then receive Mikal Bridges. I don't know. I don't know why the Spurs are doing that necessarily. Vassell and two firsts for Mikal Bridges.
I don't see that.
And and if I'm the Spurs and I want Giannis, which reportedly they could be in the mix for, I don't know if I'm helping the Knicks get
Yeah,
Giannis when I have
Yeah.
more to offer.
To that point, I don't see what to do. Now that seems like a get out of jail free card for the Knicks to not have to
It
give up
does.
any picks here and
You
also
take
move
back
off of
two
Bridges.
suspect contracts, but you could pivot and move Connaughton, Kuzma.
Connaughton down the road. You could do that. So look, this is how it's all going to look. There's a lot of things around this, but we just wanted to give you guys an idea of what it would take to make a deal and likely looking at it around Carnegie Town. So a lot of possibilities. We will see what goes on in terms of the trade market. Can the Knicks actually get Giannis Antetokounmpo? Dexter, Henry, Bryan, Fonseca here to help you break it down, and we'll see how the rest of this offseason, which could get a little crazier in just a couple of weeks. We'll see how it goes. Thanks, Bryan. Appreciate it, man.
Trading ain't easy. Not anymore.
Not anymore.